So I just watched Starting the School Year with Community and Connection 2025 webinar and supporting a culture of inquiry in your classroom, and now here's my PMI. So something I really liked during the supporting a culture of inquiry in your classroom video was how it talked about how teachers should know their students and what would work, but also what wouldn't work. This is something that my CT and I have talked about a lot, where you have to read the crowd kind of. You have to know if this student is going to enjoy this, receive this well, or if it's not. Something that I might enjoy personally or that my CT might enjoy personally, those students might not enjoy. So we have to be really aware of them, and that's our job as a teacher. Something I didn't like as much in the starting the school year with Community and Connections 2025 video was when I was talking about goal setting. It was discussing how it's better to set goals for students and how students will better reach those goals if they do that. And I found that in my experience, that's kind of been more fluff than actually reality, where teachers like to say that, people like to think that, but it doesn't actually push or move them anywhere closer to those goals. It's just something they write down, and then oftentimes the students forget them and don't remember them until the end of the year if they come back up, or middle of the year when they come back up. But the point being, they're not going to remember it until it comes back up. And at least that's my own personal experience. So kind of like what I was talking about last time, or sometimes my personal experience plays a part in it. I don't think with my personal experience that would be something I would necessarily want to pursue or do in my classroom. And then the intriguing thing was when they were talking about race and the role it played in your formative years growing up, and that made me think of something interesting, because I had gone to a school that was 95% minority. There's only 5% white people there, and something that had always been interesting was that despite there only being 5% of white people at the school, the majority of the teachers were white, if not almost all of them, and that always played interesting dynamics where they'd be teaching something, talking about something, and then oftentimes race would come into play, because you'd have these kids who weren't being taught by a teacher that looked like them, and it led to a lot of interesting conversations in the history and social sciences, and they'd tell stories about like what their parents' lives were like, what their parents have told them, whether the teacher might like not necessarily like say something ignorant or something wrong, but like the teacher might say something where the students would be like, wait, like elaborate on that, and then sometimes the teachers might feel uncomfortable with the race dynamic where they're a white teacher and they're teaching to a bunch of kids that aren't white, and it's uncomfortable for them and it's harder for them. But that's something you have to do as a teacher. It's something I'm talking with my CT about, we've had those conversations, and I think those important things to be able to do. And I feel like that experience growing up, where I've been surrounded by a lot of people who weren't white, it's made me more apt to what they're thinking. And obviously I don't know perfectly what they're thinking, but I feel comfortable at least trying to have these conversations with them, and I think that's a great skill to really have. So I look forward to using that in the classroom, which I haven't so far with the CT.